And welcome to another edition of Barça Fan Voice. I'm hoping the sound's going to be a bit better today. I'm testing a new system and hopefully there won't be quite so much echo. I know it's not been great, but I'm trying to work on it and trying to improve things. Today, of course, we have to talk about next week's game with Napoli, which yesterday the decision was taken that this game will be played behind closed doors due to the coronavirus. Like Jurgen Klopp, I'm no expert on the coronavirus, so I'm not going to talk about that. But the effects on Barça, of course, we have the economic consequences of it's going to cost about €6 billion for playing the game behind closed doors. It may affect the team. It's a game we need to win, and without the fans, it's going to be more complicated. But I suppose these things are minor compared to the overall issue. Of course, the game may not go ahead at all, which in some ways I think might be a better solution, would be just to postpone these games and to play them when the authorities think it's safe that they can play them with fans. Whether this would, we've had to put the season off, push it back a couple of weeks, start to play 3 games a week. They could play, Saturday, Tuesday and Thursday, or I don't know. I know in England in the past, when they had bad winters with lots of games postponed, they played 3 games a week. It's not perfect, but at least the fans get to see it. Maybe that's a solution, but who am I to talk about that, really? Moving on, I'd like to look at the next story for today is the interview with President Bartomeu from yesterday. It was a long interview. Many points were made. I'm not going to go through all of it, but the most important perhaps were, first, he confirmed that there will be a referendum on the FC Barça. Now, the FC Barça is the redevelopment of the area surrounding Camp Nou. So there's been a project put forward and the members will get to vote on this. There's no date set for the referendum yet. They want to have the vote before a game so more people can take part in the vote. But there's no date due to the coronavirus. They can't decide which game will be safe to do this for. So we'll just have to wait and see. The second point made was Bartomeu said that he has no plans to bring forward the elections. He said, "We were voted in for 6 years in 2015 and the project will continue until 2021. So no prospect of bringing forward the elections. We'll have to keep our fingers crossed and hope he changes his mind, or the pressure builds and they'll decide to have elections. But I don't think they will. I think they're going to play out their 6 years and we'll have elections in 2021. The other point that Bartomeu made, he was asked about the policy on signings. Now he says, last summer we talked about this and we wanted a small squad because we knew we have young stars coming through. Now, the young stars that we've seen Ansu Fati, we've seen Riqui Puig, but not very much of Riqui Puig, and recently less of Ansu Fati. So I don't really think this idea that they would promote the young players is really, maybe it's just an excuse for not signing anyone. And there was another piece of news in the papers yesterday about Samuel Umtiti, who's been fined €33,000 for damages caused to the flat he was renting. There was stories about broken furniture and parts of the lawn were missing. There was damage to the cooker. I don't know if this was Umtiti himself or whether he had friends round for a party, but obviously young men with a lot of money, away from home, away from their mothers, they don't always know how to work the electro-domestic appliances in their house. It's a shame. The club should do something to help these players a bit more, really. But they're adults, so they should be allowed to do what they want, I suppose. Hopefully this won't affect Umtiti, as we're going to need him on Saturday against Mallorca due to Clement Lenglet's suspension. Let's hope his mind's in the right place. I should of course mention Ronaldinho again. There's more come out about his story, but it's very complicated, and trying to find out the reasons why he found himself in this situation, and what was going on with his life in Brazil, we really don't know. The big question is, why wouldn't he enter with his Brazilian passport? Which you would have thought he could have done. But, somebody must have told him that he could go in with his Paraguayan passport and there'd be no problem. Why he would have followed that advice, we don't know, and he's paying the consequences now. But we've had the first pictures of him from prison, and it's great to see that he's still smiling, I suppose. But it's a very sad situation to see the great man reduced to this. Anyway, finally for today, we'll just have a quick look at the two possible Champions League quarter-final opponents. Yesterday we saw Atalanta and Red Bull Leipzig classify for the quarter-finals, the first two teams through. Two teams I don't think most people would have imagined would be the first two teams through to the quarter-finals. Not big names in the history of the competition, but two teams who have been doing very well this season. Atalanta, I can't tell you too much about. Didn't see their game with Valencia. A 7-goal thriller, again played behind closed doors. Is it really a thriller when there's no fans to see it? Red Bull Leipzig, on the other hand, I did see a very slick side led by an excellent coach in Nagelsmann. They're very well drilled, work rate, they move the ball very quickly, and in some ways they remind me of Ajax of last season. They have that energy, and they're a side that Barça will have problems against if we come up against them. So that's really about all for today. Tonight we've got another couple of Champions League games, with Liverpool playing Atletico de Madrid and Paris Saint-Germain against Borussia Dortmund. So we'll find out the next two possible opponents. So who do you think will get to play in the quarterfinals? Will we get to play them? Will we play Napoli next week? Let me know what you think. Send us a comment down in the comment section. If you like the video, give it a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. That would be great, because I need all the support I can get. I'll be back on Friday with another edition, looking ahead at Saturday's game with Mallorca, which is a must-win game for us. So until then, Visca el Barça, bye for now.